Good evening, everybody. Welcome live to Champ Sports and Spirits, a special Wednesday night edition of our Coach's Corner show. In fact, tonight is our season-ending edition of our Coach's Corner show tonight, live from Champs as we talk Alva Goldbug football, at least for a final time as far as this season is concerned. We'll have a lot of chance to talk throughout some through the off-season, and certainly we'll get back into next season, but a great opportunity to get caught up with Goldbug football, kind of recap the season and look ahead to what's in store for 2016. Goldbug head coach Taylor Schwerdtfeger joins us. Coach, how are you, sir?
Great, Craig. How are you doing?
I'm great, except for football's over. It seemed like it. I know for you it had to go even faster than some, but it does not seem that long ago that you and I were here in our preseason show right before that Thomas game. It seems like everything really went fast.
Yeah, it flew by. It flew by, but you know what? I think one of the reasons it flew by was because it was exciting.
Yes.
Everybody was having a good time. Really for us, we padded up in May, spring football, and it just seems like yesterday that we started that. That midnight practice, that just seems like it, it flew by. But gosh, when you sit there and look at the leaps that the program has made, each step, that we've taken, and through the adversity, a lot of adversity along the way, you got to be pretty excited about the future and pretty proud of the kids that went through this year.
We're going to talk a little bit here in a moment about Luther, the playoff game, how that game went. Obviously, would have loved to have gone a different route, but Luther's very good. We know that. We'll get into that. But just right off the bat, I want your just initial, overall view of the season, because it's not your first season as a head coach. It's not your first season in coaching, obviously, but as we mentioned, it is your first season as the head coach of your alma mater. And I asked a similar question going into the season, how it was feeling. But now as you've had a chance to wrap your head through the whole season and everything that happened, just give me your impressions of how your first season as the Goldbug coach went.
I can tell you, there was things that happened that I thought about before the season that I didn't think about during the season. As far as I wondered personally, how is it going to feel to coach on that field? How's it going to feel to be in your hometown and coach? And to be honest with you, during the season, it was just like any other for me. But now that I can step back and reflect on it, and reflect upon the work and the things that were put in as far as the kids and my staff and I know I don't want to compare it again to last year, but looking at where we were to where we've come, you have to be proud of that.
Yeah.
I mean, you do. You have to have a little bit of pride about that and be excited about, the future. And especially, it's kind of a weird – not many people get to experience this because I'm getting to – not only am I getting to coach in my alma mater, and taking steps in the right direction the first year, obvious steps, going from 0-10 to the playoffs.
Yes.
But I'm walking around the pad today of our new facility, with Matt Bixler. We're talking about, he's our contractor and doing the job and when they're going to pour and when we're going to be able to move the weights in and get started with that. I mean, we're going to be looking at being able to be in there in the spring.
That's awesome.
And doing our off-season program in there. And so looking back on it now, there was a lot of highs. There weren't too many lows. There was a lot of adversity.
Yes.
That I don't know that I've had to really deal with many things of that nature in my 10 years of coaching. Man, I mean, it's the community has been wonderful to me personally, as far as the vision I have for this program and the direction I want to go. The administration has been very supportive. Our kids have bought in, and you and I know we can sit here and how this all well, but if they're not buying what we're selling,
it won't matter.
It's not going to matter. And they did, and they saw. The great thing is, how big was that getting in the playoffs?
It was huge.
It was huge because our kids know what those 6 o'clock in the morning workouts are all about. They know why we're asking them to go 7-on-7, drive all the way to Kingfisher, have those team camps, do spring football, and they get it, and they want it. And so we're already back in the weight room. I mean, kids are ready to roll, and even kids that are playing basketball are going to continue their program in the weight room, and so it's exciting. And I mean, I'm just be honest. To just put it in words, it was awesome. It was an awesome way to start this tenure of this staff and this program in this direction. I'm just really excited.
I don't know that, and you can disagree or not, but I don't know that a season could have gone in a more positive direction. I mean, obviously, if you'd finish second or whatever,
Right.
you always want to be better.
Sure.
I mean, you'd love to go whatever. Coaches always want that, but for a season, as you mentioned, and I know we made a lot of mention of it, but just how far they've come for us to accomplish what we accomplished, to have the some of the highs and lows during, to face adversity, to go through the 3-game losing streak, and pick ourselves up from that, and win those last 2 games, and get into the playoffs. I don't know that you could have envisioned it going much better in terms just from a competitive standpoint for us to automatically in that Thomas game know we're different, and then to get to the playoffs like we did.
Well, and you said it. I mean, when you looked at our schedule, I felt there was one team that I knew that we were going to be more talented than, I thought, and that was OBA.
Yeah.
And they still had some talent.
They did.
Their quarterback and the Renfro kid, they're good players.
Yes.
But I just thought that was a game that going in that I knew that, hey, look, this is a game we should win. That's 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
And the rest of them, you're looking at the schedule, and you're looking at last year, and you're saying, well, they beat us 50. They beat us 50. They beat us 50. They were up by 50 at half. I mean,
exactly.
It just you don't know where to stop. And so when you set the goals, you have to be realistic. And it's hard for me, to be honest with you, to sit there and say, because it wasn't that long ago in the program I was in that our goals were, okay, what are we going to do in the off season that's going to put us in the position to win a state championship?
Yeah.
What is it that we're going to do to get back there? How are we going to do this? How are we going to beat Heritage Hall? Things like that.
Yeah.
And so now, as a head coach here, and in my first year, you have to be realistic with the program and say, where is it that we can be successful? What is a successful season for us?
Yeah.
And if you like you said the other day, if you ask anybody, they just said, hey, 2-8, 3-7 would have been a good year for you guys after being over. And I wouldn't. To be honest with you, I don't accept that, and and our kids didn't accept that.
No, of course not.
And we set our expectations higher. And I think the best thing in the world, and I'm going to say, and you can tell me I'm crazy, but I think the minute that our season changed was when we were down 21-0 at Thomas in 6 minutes into the first quarter, and we make a big play on offense, and then followed by another big play, we score, and all of a sudden it's 21-7.
Yeah.
And our kids, you could just see it and feel it because we were feeling each other out. We didn't know if we were going to be any good. Nobody knew if we were any good. And then it was the first 3 touchdowns happened, and everybody's like, oh, well, here we go again.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, we keep fighting. Now turn around, we're down 6, and turn around, we're up, and then we're up by. I think it set the tone and expectations for where we were going to be and how we were going to play. And I know that was 11, 12 weeks ago.
Yeah,
But man, I'm telling you, I think that just really opened the door.
I agree, and it's pretty easy to see why, because again, last year in a position when you're down 21-0, the game's over.
Right.
And so if we go into that first game and we just get blitzed by Thomas, there's still going to be a lot of doubt in everybody's mind. And that doesn't mean we might not have still accomplished things.
Sure.
But there would have been a lot more doubt in the minds.
Sure.
If you go out and get beat 40-0 or whatever, even though Thomas was number 1 ranked team in Class A, and nobody else would have thought necessarily bad about that. But I think internally you would have thought, man, we've got a lot more work than we thought. But the fact, as you said, that we basically took it right to them and did the things that we did and proved that we could be in a game like that. We really saw it right there. And obviously, as we talked about a lot, Ron and I came out of that Thomas game thinking we got a real shot at the playoffs. And you never would have thought that after what we went through the year before.
I can't remember who it was on the field afterwards. I think it was Brandon Long, afterwards said, hey, Coach, where are we going week 11? And I said, hey, look now, everybody just relax. We're a long ways from that. And, man, how satisfying it was to get to week 11. To talk about this year and how far those kids have come. And everybody in the community, too. Everybody you talk to has great things to say about those young men and the path that we've taken. And they, how proud they are of how hard they fought. And it's just it's a great deal, and I'm really blessed to say that I'm the head football coach here, and I have a great staff, and it's just great things happening. And we talked about a quarterback club. I think with what Matt's doing at Northwestern and the direction we're going, man, in 2 years, hopefully, I think next year will be great. But I'm just saying, in the future, there's going to be some really high quality football played in this town.
Yeah.
And I think everybody better get ready and understand that what's fixing to happen here, and we're excited about it. And man, I just. You can't be more proud of these young men than to overcome that. Hey, and the great thing is, Craig, in the off season we had our exit meetings. Talked to the seniors and thanked them for everything they did, and then talked to the younger kids. And I just asked some of those sophomores and the juniors, and I said, hey, what are your expectations now? I mean, before we didn't have any.
No, of course not.
Our expectations were to make the playoffs. I mean, I told you that week one, that week.
Yes.
We want to be in the playoffs somehow, however it is we get in there. And we did that. So now my question is, guys, are you just okay with making the playoffs, or do you want to go win some football games in the playoffs and see what happens? Because I'm going to tell you, anything can happen. Once you get there and you're competitive, anything can happen. And I think, I'll be honest with you, I think this group of kids is ready to take the next step and say, not only is our expectation to make the playoffs, it's to go win playoff football games. And that's exciting.
It is.
And we're going to find out in the offseason because
words are one thing.
Words are one thing. And I said, hey, if that's what we're going to do, then, Coach Sklar and myself, we are going to push you to that level. I want to show you what it takes to be that level.
Yeah.
And the great thing about it is our kids saw that gap closed.
Yes.
They saw it. I mean, they were right there with Hennessy. They were the second half played really well against Chisholm.
Yes.
I mean, the first half we got blitzed by their speed and by their everything, and then once we settle in, and that's what's frustrating. You're like, guys, look at Tonkawa.
Yes.
One play in Tonkawa, which I'm going to be honest with you, if Austin Sklar's playing, that's a ball game. Totally different game. Not even comparable.
Yeah.
And so you're sitting there going, we're right there. We are right there. And Tonkawa has Millwood beat.
Yes, they did.
Night.
I really thought they were.
So how good is Tonkawa? I mean,
they were pretty legit.
They were good, and they made a turnaround.
Yes.
I mean, we're just sitting here going, our district is a lot better than we thought.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I mean, we think we can make a step. It's going to take us. We have to get a lot better up front. We know kids know that. We're going to have the skill players to be dangerous, but everything has to go your way. You got to be healthy, so we'll see, but it's exciting.
Real quickly, let's recap Luther, the playoff game last week. I'm assuming that went similar maybe to what you thought, just because of how good they were. We knew it, how fast they were. We didn't have Austin, who I really believe would have made some difference. I don't think there's any doubt at all.
Big difference.
But they were very good. I mean, they get the ball in the hands of 22, and he's very tough to start. I don't think there's no question about that. So, I mean, was there anything at all that surprised you about how that went?
Not really. I thought we would tackle better than we did. I told you I thought we were going to have a hard time tackling him. I knew that going in.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing that was a little bit surprising to me was that we had them in third down and fourth down quite a bit. They scored a lot on third and fourth down. I mean, they score on third and 20.
Yeah.
They throw a smoke route to 22 out of trips.
Yes.
And he scores. They score on fourth.
They scored on a 4th and 7.
Yes.
And that was to Wright as well. That was a 35-yard touchdown pass, went down the.
I mean, it was a deal where, man, the score we looked like we're just getting our doors blown off, which we were to an extent. But at the same time, you're sitting there going, well, all right, it's 2-yard gain here, 3-yard gain.
Well, you look at it. That first drive, they kick the onside kick. Basically, they score first play from there. Then we go 3 and out, but then we get them to go 3 and out. We stop them on a 4th and 2.
Yeah.
They get it back. They score on a 30-yard. Was Wright with a 30-yard run, and then I think we gave it right back to them real quick, and they scored again with Wright. It was 21-0. But then that's when we intercepted. Millage intercepts a pass for them, so takes one away. Yeah. We get it back. Of course, go 3 and out. Or no, we actually picked up a first down in that. We picked up 2 first downs in the drive after that. But then we fumbled. Davion fumbles that time, and that gives it back to them. And that's when they had that 4th down play. So I mean, if they don't score on that 4th down, it's 21-0. And at that point, it's getting into the second quarter.
Yeah.
Who knows?
mean, and the thing is, we drop a pass the first. I call it on 3rd and short, and we could have had a first down. I mean, let's be honest.
Yes.
But I knew
going in third and one,
and we throw the option pass. But I knew we had to roll the dice in that game.
Yes.
I knew that we had to take some chances, and we haven't burned. D throws a beautiful ball. Greg just couldn't bring it in. But hey, he makes that catch. We score.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it's tie ball game, and we're going right at them because we come out and complete a pass right there early, that little 8-yard pass, and we just go boom, boom, boom. And I thought, looking back on it, I don't know that I would have changed the call. Even though it was 3rd and 1, I just really don't know that I would have changed it because I wanted to go for the throw.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew.
Well, you mentioned, you touched on it. You know the score. You know where they are, probably to where we are in terms of what they can do.
Yeah.
You've got to throw the kitchen sink. I mean, there's nothing that you can leave on the table at that point if you're going against a team like that.
No, you can't. And they, they're just to be quite frank, I mean, they're as talented a group of kids as 2A's seen in a while as far as the skill players.
Yeah, skill players.
So I knew where we were at, and like you said, we didn't have Austin, you didn't have Trevor Allison.
Right.
Tevin was banged up.
Yep.
We're just banged. I mean, we just didn't bring all the cards to the table.
Didn't have all the bullets in the gun.
And even if we did, I don't know that it would have been a whole lot different. I mean, I think Austin makes a big difference. I know that he does. They're not going to have a lot of those runs they score on. Probably not even the first play.
Yeah.
Because that was his side. And so it just is frustrating. I mean, I think they would have got theirs eventually, but they would sure had to work a lot harder to get it.
I know it didn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things necessarily, but I was even though that they really didn't play their starters much at all in that second half.
Right.
But I was glad to see we got a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah.
And kind of got ourselves on the board. We weren't shut out.
Sure.
Mitchell had a couple of really nice throws, and Millage caught one, and then Colwell had the other one. I mean, it was still nice, even with the game being what it was, to kind of see us have a little bit of success.
Sure, it was. And, like I told Coach Meek at halftime, we were talking about it. I said, hey, I know, because, he's one of my good buddies. He's not going to run the score up on us, and he's just a good guy. He wouldn't do that to anybody. So we're talking at halftime, and he said, I'm going to pull, some of those older guys out. I leave this guy in. I said, well, hey, man, our young guys are our young guys.
Yeah.
You're not going to see another quarterback. You're not going to see another tailback. You're not going to see, these are some of the same guys. Our linemen are mostly sophomores. We'll pull a few seniors out here and there, but and so when we play with kids our own age there in the second half, it's a pretty good game.
Yeah,
so
it was.
It was like you said. It was nice to have a little success there and see Mitchell get dialed in there a little bit. And we still had, I think, 230 some yards of offense. I think to end the game. Most of that came in the second half, but it still was nice to have that success and going in and have something to build on.
Absolutely, and like we've said before, just the whole fact you had the extra week to prepare, you had that extra week to get ready, and then you had that extra game time of being in the playoffs. Hey, now we've been in the playoffs, And
oh, absolutely.
So you certainly can't go wrong with the extra work that you guys got a chance to get in.
No,
sure.
And the expectations are huge.
Yeah.
Like you said, I mean, you've been there. As like I told Mitchell before the game, I said, no matter what happens tonight, you're going to be a starting quarterback here for 4 years and have made the playoffs every year. That's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And so your expectation next year is different than this one.
Yeah.
And then the next year it's different. I mean, your expectation should be to win a title here before it's over. Yeah. And that, I mean, that's everybody can say, well, that's crazy. Well, nobody thought we'd make the playoffs last year either. So
if you but this is, if you don't have that as your goal, I mean, why would you necessarily beat your head in? I mean, football's a physical. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you should have that expectation. I think anybody that plays should have the expectation of not just going to the playoffs, but why not shoot for the moon?
Yeah, I think so. And the great thing about it is I told our kids this. I said, hey, listen, you've played against 3 teams, okay? Thomas, who won it last year.
Yep.
Hennessy, who's been there, really 4. Chisholm, who's going to have a chance to be there, and Luther has a chance.
Yes.
You played against 4 teams this year that are good enough to win a state title.
Yep.
They are quality teams good enough to win. So you know what it's going to take. There is not a question. You don't play in a district down in southeast Oklahoma that you can go 10-0 and get beat by 40 the first round because you don't play anybody.
Yeah.
You know what it's going to take. And so that's what excites me is, I mean, there's no question in the offseason how much time and effort and work we have to put in to take another step like we did this year.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the question. Can we duplicate that step? Can we duplicate that jump again? Can we do it again? And that's what we're going to have to do.
Real quickly, and we'll take a quick break and we'll come back and have some more, but I want you to kind of put your prognostication hat on just a little bit. This doesn't necessarily have bearing to Goldbugs now, but the 2A playoffs. You're at least you're going to be interested in what happens.
Absolutely.
Obviously, there weren't really any surprises in round one. I think all the top 10 teams won that you expected to win. But as you look at the bracket, and this is getting ready for week 2, kind of give me your thoughts on maybe how you think it's going to play out.
Well, I think the biggest game in 2A, in my opinion, this week is Hennessy and Washington.
I agree.
I think the winner of that game right there is going to play Luther in the semifinals.
Yes.
In my opinion, because Luther's going to play Kingston this week. I think they'll win that game. Okema is more than likely going to come out and play Luther in the quarterfinals. Mm-hmm. That'll be at Okema. I still think Luther wins that. I think you're going to see Luther or Hennessy Washington in the semis there.
Yep.
I think Chisholm is going to beat Lindsay. I mean, you never know. Obviously, it's the playoffs.
Right.
Everybody at this point is good.
Of course,
we all know that.
Of course. No, from here on out, there's really no surprises.
No.
I mean, when you get to the second round, anybody can beat anybody.
But I really do think that's going to happen. And then you're probably going to see Vian, more than likely, with Chisholm in the third round, which is going to be a tough game.
It would, yeah.
But I still I think if Chisholm is ready to take that step, then they can win that football game. Now you got Millwood Davis. I'm going to take Davis on that.
Yeah.
Adair and Stroud play this week. I'm going to take Adair there. So I think you're going to see Adair and Davis play, which, again, that's their third year, I think, to meet up.
I think so, yeah.
And so the winner of that game would then play Chisholm or Vian in the semis.
Yeah.
And that's going to be your pick for the state championship. So, to be honest with you, there could be 3 teams that we played in the semifinals.
How
that's
amazing would that
very possible.
Yeah.
And it could happen.
When you look at Adair, because I don't look at a lot of film beyond that. Have you seen much of them? What type of game do they play?
A little bit. They are extremely athletic.
Okay.
But they're physical. They're the type of team that can go beat Davis.
Okay. Do they spread it? Are they more a run-based team?
They run the football.
Okay.
They can throw it. I mean, obviously any good team can, but they're going to be built to run the football. They were, from what I heard this summer from coaches over there, they were the team to beat.
And they've been number one in some of the polls most of the year.
all year.
Even with, I think they've got one loss, but even then I think they stayed number one most of the way.
They lost to Davis by 1, I believe, last year. I believe. I have to go back and correct me on that. And then, obviously, Davis goes and wins it.
Right.
I think that's just been their biggest hurdle is Davis.
Yeah.
And I believe they can beat Davis this year. I've seen Davis on film, and they're still really good.
Yeah.
They're just not the Davis they were last year. And so that doesn't mean they won't be again. They're always going to be a force in 2A.
Here's the other thing about winning 2A. It's kind of like winning A to some degree because you have that extra playoff game. Mm-hmm. You have to be very. I mean, it's not just
3A now.
You're right. That we'll do that now.
Way. Since 2000. Let's see, 2010 was the first year.
Yeah, but those 3 classes, you've got to win a lot of extra games.
Oh, it's so tough.
So I mean, we talk about how physical and mental football is just in a 10-game season, let alone when you got to win 5 more games.
It's having been part of that where you go play 15 games, when you get to that week 10, and when you're good enough to know that you can make it there, it is a deal where you go, well, we're 2/3 of the way over. We have a third left.
Yeah.
And you have to find another gear when you're good, and that's what I want our kids to do. I want them to understand that we are going to play week 11. That's our goal. That's our expectation. And then once week 11 gets here, it's not time to go shake everybody's hand and say, well, we did a good job, we got here. No, it's time to play the second half of our season.
Yes.
And that's what we want to do, and that's what you have to do. And you said it, the physical and mental part of that, you have to be healthy. Mm-hmm. The ball has to bounce your way. You need to be playing your best ball. You have to be seasoned enough to go on the road and win big games.
Yeah. Because you can't just play all your home games when you get to the playoffs. Eventually, you got to go on the road and play a very good team.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big deal, man. There's so many things that go into win and play football games. But it's another thing about it is the way I like about it is the tougher team is going to show.
Yeah,
I mean,
and when you win through a 15-game situation, you know that there's really no debates about who the best team is, right?
No, I mean any team honestly that gets to the semifinals in that deal is a really good football team. Sometimes the way the bracket lines up, I mean, I've seen this before. Sometimes the best two teams play in the quarterfinals.
Of course, yeah.
You just never know.
Right, you're right.
But it's just, I mean, it's crazy, but that's why I love about it. I mean, that's what I love about playoff football and high school football is anybody playing at this time is really good, and you just never know year in to year out who's going to make those steps. Who would have thought Chisholm would have took, after what they graduated, would have took this step?
Yeah. I think many people probably thought with Taggart Brown and all those games, it was going to be last year that they might make this step.
Oh, I think so, too. I think so, too. And that's why, even though they're losing a lot of kids this year, that's why, I mean, you cannot count them out next year. No. They're going to be good every year. They're athletic. They're fast. They're going to be good every year. They're the team to beat in our district now. They've proven that.
Yeah. They've proved it on the field now, and now I agree. I think they've kind of team to beat. Set themselves up in that.
They do. I think next year, honestly, our district. Our district's going to be really good, but I think this year there's not going to be as big a difference between our 4 and 1 as there was this year.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see some 21-7 games with us and Chisholm and Tonkawa, and just some 14-20 games. And I mean, and Hennessy's going to find their way through all that too. I mean, they're going to be right in the middle of that. I mean, they're going to be battling for the top, and they're going to be battling for the 4. I really do. I think you're talking about a 4-team battle, and Perry's going to make their case for that as well, because they bring everybody back.
Yeah.
So, man, it's going to be a gauntlet. I really, some of the 2A1 districts of old that used to be really good, where you'd have Bethany and Heritage Hall and Watonga and Jones and all those teams in it.
Yes.
In this district,
and not much separates.
The last few years, this district has not been that.
No, not top to bottom. No, not at all.
But I think you're going to see that type of competitiveness next year with the programs and the way everybody's moving in directions, and so. When you can look at Chisholm and Hennessy right now and say, well, those are two semifinal capable teams, then you have to say, man, our district, and Tonkawa, what they did, I mean, and they're going to be really good next year, folks. I mean, they don't lose a lot. I mean, they bring everybody back, so they're scary. And they're what makes them scary is they're a team that has tradition.
They do.
They're not that far removed from a state title.
No.
Yeah, was it 10 or 11 they won it?
2000, I believe it was 10, and they were undefeated. They went 15-0. They were in Class A. They haven't won a state since they've been 2A, but still, that was they were very good at that stage.
Yeah, so they're not. I mean, you're talking about these kids playing. We're in 6th grade and seeing that.
Yes.
So, I mean, they're not that far off. So it's going to be a bear. It's going to be tough. A lot of tough things, but I assure you that Alva is not being counted out of that.
Yeah,
I promise you that we are not being counted out of that discussion.
We're going to talk about that. I want to get your take also on the all-district stuff, which I know has come out. We'll talk about that. We'll take a break and come back. We have more with Coach Schwerdtfeger. It's our final edition of Coach's Corner tonight here on 1430 KELV. Yeah, welcome back to Champ Sports and Spirits. Again, it's our season finale of our Coach's Corner show with Alva Goldbug head coach Taylor Schwerdtfeger. His team, of course, finishing 5-6 overall, losing in the first round to Luther, but a Goldbug playoff return back to the playoffs after a year absence. Taylor, let's talk all district. I know a lot of that stuff has already happened. They've had, of course, when 2A District 1, they have all district everything. They player of the game, player of the year, lineman, all that stuff. Give me a kind of a broad strokes how Alva did in those discussions.
Alva was represented well, and I think that's a lot of testament to our team and how far we've come. To be in that discussion. You had a linebacker of the year. 2A1 linebacker of the year was Ridge Eubanks.
Awesome.
2A1 cornerback of the year, defensive back, was Tevin Long.
Great.
And you had also 2A1 tight end of the year was Travis Costello.
Good.
And so I felt really good about how that was represented. You had second team all-district defensive back, Braden Gregg.
Okay.
You had Terrell Burton at left tackle.
Great.
And you had an honorable mention was Tristan Kayott. And I believe that was it.
These are all seniors.
All seniors.
Yeah, that's what the 2A.
Noah McCosker.
Okay, good.
Noah McCosker made wide receiver.
Wide receiver.
Yes,
Good.
he did. So, Noah made that. Noah and Braden made the all-district team, and Terrell was second-team tackle. So we were represented well. I mean, I think it was, like you said, a good testament to those kids and how far they've come. There was no really the co-MVPs of our district were Tabor Johns, and Luke Ball.
Okay.
I mean, those are two. That's hard to. And the voting was split. I mean, it was perfect. So, I was glad to see those kids split that award. I think that was due diligence.
Very deserving.
Very deserving. Both those kids. The Pfluger kid from Talkawa, Chase Pfluger, was the defensive MVP.
Defensive, okay.
He had 130 tackles.
Yeah.
The offensive MVP was Savage kid from Chisholm.
Okay.
Luke, I'm trying to think his
Cooper
first name.
Savage.
Cooper Savage.
He's actually a move-in from Lindsay.
From Lindsay, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. That was a good hire by Joey.
It was.
His dad as a coach.
It definitely was. And then that's who, oddly enough, or ironically enough, that's who Chisholm gets this week is Lindsay.
I know, it's Lindsay. I wonder how that's going to be going home for them. But, I did. I thought we represented well. Anytime you can get in that playoff mix and coaches can show their respect for your program and your kids.
Yeah.
And it's a good group of guys that we're in with. So I thought it went well. And definitely, talking to some coaches in our district, they definitely understand where we're going, what direction we're going, and they very complimentary of our kids in our program. So it was nice to hear that, especially when some of them just beat the brakes off of us the year before,
right.
And to know that they think enough of us to say, hey, yeah, we know what's coming and we know it's going to be a battle. That's not to say they're not going to beat us. No coach would admit that, but I think for them to say, yeah, we know it'll be a little bit of a battle. We know what's coming. So, that's nice to hear.
Nice to have that respect.
It is. It is, especially first year being here and with our program, and I did know a lot of those guys from Kingfisher, coaching against them and being in this. So that I don't think they were totally shocked about what we were going to do or try to do.
No,
let's not say we were going to. We were going to try.
Yeah.
But I think we did close the gap a lot faster than anybody could have anticipated.
Yeah. So let's talk off season now, and we've hinted at some of that. But how much time do you take? Just a little bit of time after the season to decompress yourself? Do the coaches take that little bit of time? I know player-wise, some of them move to basketball and other things, but how quickly do you jump right back into the fold, if you will? Well,
we are maxing out tomorrow.
Okay.
If that tells you anything.
There you go.
We're getting our maxes done tomorrow. We're going to start our program Monday.
Okay.
And we'll be on our 4-day-a-week lifting starting Monday. We'll go Monday. Tuesday we'll have the weight room open. Wednesday, and then so it'll be 3 next week, and then after Thanksgiving break will be our 4-day all the way through Christmas. Christmas break we'll have the weight room open. So to tell you, to be honest, no, we're jumping in it. I mean,
I figured that,
and these kids want to. I mean, that's the great thing. I mean, they're in there lifting their butts off. Austin today was talking about he weighs 170 now, and he said, I think, Coach, I can carry the ball at 190 next year. And now you're talking about Tabor Johns-ish looking type cat.
That's exactly right.
And so and then Chance Bratton, they're saying, "Hey, Coach, I'll be weighing 220 easy." And you're like, "Geez, man." I mean, but that's their goals.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their goals. And Max Parsons sitting there saying, "I weigh 220 now, Coach. I'll be 240." And that's what we want. I mean, we want those kids to set those goals and set them high. And those kids have the work ethic to do that.
Yeah,
they can make that happen. And we challenge them as coaches today, if they want to talk that game about being able to go play for big time things, then we've got to be big time program.
Yeah.
And we've got to carry ourselves that way. We're not a program that's 1 year removed from 0-10. We're a program that's
we're a playoff team.
We're a playoff football team, and we're on the rise. So that's the way we need to carry ourselves. And so I think, off season is going to be big for us, and you brought that up, and Coach Scar and I talked about it today,
Well, and this is also your first full off season.
Yes.
So I mean, it's one thing to do what you you did at the time that you officially got the program. But now this is a full off-season cycle, which will continue. But this is your first opportunity to get full the way through.
It's a great point, and we're excited to see how that works out, and to get a lot of things are a process, and even Coach Duncan, seeing the difference in our kids physically in the weight room, he approached me and said, hey, I want those kids to stay with the program. And like watching them scrimmage tonight, Tevin Long's been in the weight room, and he comes out and hits 11 threes in scrimmage.
He was on fire.
It does nothing but help them, and so that's a great tool that we have as a coaching and athletic department that we're all on board with.
And I'm glad you bring that up, because that's not always everywhere.
It is not
like that.
It is not everywhere. It is not everywhere, and that's something that I'm really excited about. And to have coaches. Coach Ball is the same way. Coach Ball has his baseball kids come in there 7th hour and lift every day with us before they go hit and throw. Right. So we're all on board, and we all see the importance of it. And for those guys to allow that to happen, even the during season program for those basketball players that play football is not going to be the same as the off season. Sure. Obviously, they're not going to be in there. We don't want them in there squatting 450 pounds before a game. But the advantages that they have to maintaining that, if you go back and look at Michael Jordan saying, I used to lift on game days and then go get 500 shots in before the game started. It's muscle memory. That's a big thing. And the key there is when basketball season is over and we hit that off-season workout hard, they have not lost any.
Right.
You don't have to spend 4 to 6 weeks getting back what you had. You can jump right in where you're at, and now you can hammer it. And now you can go into Summer Pride already ahead of the game. And now your goals for Summer Pride can be even better. And you can say, hey, when we show up in August, Austin, you could weigh 185 to 190, be carrying the ball, 25 times a game. And you've got Hayden and D still in there athletically to use a slot and tailback and whatever we need. And Mitchell, I think Mitchell's a kid with his frame that'll put another 10 pounds of muscle on. And so it's exciting, and we know where we need to be. And like I said, I'm glad that we got to play the teams that we did, because some of those teams, most of the teams we played were blatantly bigger up front and stronger than we were. Even though we closed that gap a long ways, it was blatantly obvious that we have got to gain some mass and strength up front to compete with the upper echelon. And we're not talking about being 5-5 and 6-4.
No.
We can compete with that all day long right now. We want to be that 8-2, 9-1, 10-0 team going in the playoffs. So that's our goal, and so we know where we got to get to.
Absolutely. Let's talk schedule as you go into next year. We actually kind of touched on a little bit about this even earlier. I've talked to you about it before that, but because it's going to look different. It's going to look a bit different than what it was this year. So kind of give us an idea of what the schedule is going to look like.
Well, we're going to do something that has never, to my knowledge, been done at Alva. We're playing a week 0 game, which is going to be August 27th or 8th.
That would be the day that we usually would have our final scrimmage.
Our second scrimmage.
Right. So now instead they've opened that up to where you can play a game that they call it week 0.
Week 0 week. And so we will have one scrimmage against Woodward.
Okay.
And then we will go right into a football game. We're going to play Blackwell, 3A school.
Okay. Is it here or there?
It's here.
Okay.
We play here. We open up here.
Awesome.
And so that's exciting. It's also scary. You're playing a 3A. You're going to play a 3A school that has a tough district. They're in Kingfisher, Cushing, Heritage Hall. So they see a huge amount of speed and physicality. So we have to be able to bring that early. And that's a big game. Like I said, to start our season off the right way, and then we have Thomas at home week 2. Kept them on the schedule. I wanted to, Coach Ward.
I'm glad of that.
I do. I want, and that's a good game. They're going to be good every year. You're going to get a good shot at a good football team, and so I wanted them back, and we're going to play them week 2. And we go to OBA week 3, and then we go to Fairview.
That's the one that I wanted to, because that's the one we talked about before the season began. I have been wanting to get Fairview back on the schedule and of course I know I don't play the game or whatever, but when you think of Alva, You think of Fairview, Chisholm. They've just been hand in hand in every sport, and we still play Fairview in basketball. We still play them in baseball. We play them in everything except for football. And I understand there's probably reasons why that it went off or whatever, but I love the fact that we get them back on. We don't just scrimmage them. No. Now we get a chance to play them.
Coach Bernard and I talked early on in that process, and knowing that we were going to redistrict and things, and I really have a lot of respect for him and Coach Robinson, who's over there, used to coach at Alva, Brock Robinson. And I said the same thing. I said, I just don't know why we don't play. And he said, well, let's get it on. We need to play, and let's get it on the schedule. So we were able to work it out where we're going to play each other the old week 3. It'll be their week 3. Actually, it's not true. They're playing a week 0 week against Perry.
Okay.
1. So it'll be their week 4 as well. And they were a young team this year.
Yes, and they made the playoffs.
They did. They made the playoffs. It's going to be 2 very, very similar programs. It was Coach Bernard's first year in that program.
And I think also, they were also playing at the end of freshman quarterback.
They did. They started a freshman quarterback. He started. Dillard, he came in the game against Chisholm because Smith got knocked out, and he finished the year. And a lot like Mitchell, he struggled for a little bit, and then he got into a groove and started playing well. So they're going to be a good football team, and they got a really good tailback. And you're going to Fairview.
Right.
So that's a game that is going to be a battle, a rivalry game renewed. They play very intense. It's going to be, it's exciting.
It is. How can you not be excited about getting Alva Fairview back on the schedule?
I don't know. And the thing for us is you talk about, hey, 3 games in a row. You go Fairview, Chisholm, Hennessy, or Fairview, Hennessy, Chisholm.
That's talk about a gauntlet there.
Hey,
that's awesome.
I don't know if anybody's a football fan around here, but wow. You talk about
sign me up for that as far as because I don't have to play. But
the great thing about our schedule too, couldn't have worked out better. Is we'll play Fairview, then we'll play Hennessy, and then we have a bye week.
Okay, before we go to Chisholm,
we have a week off, so we get to recover for a week and then go play Chisholm. And so that's going to be exciting. I'm going to try to schedule a JV game that week, maybe on a Thursday, where we play like a class, somebody that needs a game somewhere and make it a little bit. But, it's exciting. Those 3 games right there are huge, huge games. And even though Fairview doesn't count towards our playoffs,
but it's
still
count
a big
mentally.
Game. That's a pride thing.
Absolutely.
You won't lose to Fairview. So, it's really exciting, and got to go to Fairview, and no matter what the records are, it doesn't matter.
No,
you go play Fairview, it's going to be a battle. And then you play Hennessy the next week at Hennessy, and then you come home bye week, then you get Chisholm at home again. And then I believe that we play Perry after that, and then we play. I know we end the year with Newkirk. I believe. I think we play Tonkawa. We play Perry, Pawhuska, then Tonkawa,
and then Newkirk at the end.
I think is how it works out.
Because we haven't talked about this, but Pawhuska comes in and Perry and Pawnee goes out. Pawhuska's the new district.
They're the new 2A1 representative. Pawhuska is, and I don't see them in my and doesn't mean this will happen, but just having been on those boards before and gotten to see how that works, I don't think they'll be in our district again, because when they redistrict in 2 more years after this 2 years. There will be a team that moves back up and down over east, and that will pull them back
over there.
And we'll get somebody out of Oklahoma City if Fairview doesn't move up by then.
Right.
And Chisholm's in that deal too. If Chisholm bumps up to 3A, which their numbers have skyrocketed, you just never know how much longer we'll have them, and hey, it may end up where we're playing Chisholm and Fairview in non-district games.
Right.
So who knows what'll happen, but yeah, our schedule is extremely tough next year. Well, we talked about it off the air, but I think Tonkawa is a team who, bringing everybody back, can make a playoff run next year.
Yes.
They were extremely impressive to me, and they're a team that got better all year. They just got better every week.
Because here's the deal. Luther in the first game of the year beats them 52-0.
It was 40-0 at half.
Right, and so, and I might be wrong. I'm not sure they would have done that to them at the end of the year.
No, I don't think
really
they would
don't
at
think
all.
so.
I do not think so
I don't
at all.
know. I wasn't at that first game.
No.
I can't. But I'm just in my. I just can't fathom that they would have done that to them the way Tonkawa was playing at the end of the year.
No, they would not have. And Tonkawa made some changes, moved some kids around, much like we did.
Yeah.
And so, I think Tonkawa is going to be a good team. I think Chisholm's obviously going to be good. Hennessy's always good.
Yep.
And you got us, and Perry brings everybody back. You never know about Newkirk. You just never know. I don't know anything about Pawhuska.
No,
I know that I think they went 2-8. I think was their record. Mr. Potter, obviously being from there, fills me in a little bit. But we are just. You can't overlook anybody, obviously, and you can't sit here and say we're guaranteed a playoff spot. Nope. So that's the great thing about the off season is we have that ahead of us, and it's going to be a good deal.
It is. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I
think the excitement will just build. I really do. You said that yourself that it's been. I hope it's been fun to call our games this year.
Yes, it has.
But it has been fun to definitely coach here, and hey, our homecoming crowd against Chisholm. I've been told was the biggest crowd that we've had for an Alva football game here since, I want to say probably since Coach Gale had those quarterfinal teams.
I think you're probably right.
Even the playoff game that was here a couple years ago, that was a $5,000 gate we had against Chisholm.
That's awesome.
I told Coach Reiner, we were talking about the rivalry.
Yeah.
Coach Reiner and I were, how fun it is going to be to both be good and play each other. He said, hey, can we split that gate with you? And I said, no, you cannot.
Sorry,
not going to happen. But, man, it's exciting. It's just going to be a really good time, I think, for Alva football. And it's with the new facility and everything we got going, I think we really started that off in a good way. Even though we 1-4 at home. We're going. By the way, everybody, we're playing all of our games on the road next year.
I knew you were going to say that. We kind of went to that late in the year. Yeah.
But anyway.
No, it's
exciting.
It is, and I appreciate all your help with me during the season, and like I said, look forward to it, and won't be too much longer. You'll be knocking heads again.
It won't be.
All right. Appreciate it, Taylor.
All right, Craig. Thank you.
All right. Our thanks to Taylor Schwerdtfeger, Alva Goldbug, first-year head football coach. His team now headed to the off-season, and we look forward to that. So that's going to wrap it up for our Coaches Corner show for another year. We'll be back, of course, talking more Goldbug football next year. We will have basketball shows coming up. We'll let you know for sure when those will start with the Ranger basketball coaches. I think we're going to maybe try to have some with Coach Duncan and Coach Horn as well. So lots of sports stuff to talk about, obviously, as always.